Ms. Cheryl.
Mr. Speaker, I welcome the impending changes that will be introduced to the Smoking Prohibition in Certain Places Amendment Bill. While it may still be a long while before we become a smoke-free society, it is a step forward when we broaden the scope to have more designated no-smoking zones and enhancing the responsibilities as well as enforcement that can be carried out by specific appointed groups beyond the agencies. Secondhand smoke is known to pose health hazard, and researchers have shown that it does contain the same harmful chemicals that smokers inhale. There's just no safe level of exposure for secondhand smoke, and it is known to cause cancer apart from other health issues. Why then does this become a social issue? Simply because this is a topic beyond personal choices, but rather it encompasses infringement of the rights of others. For the young children and those who are non-smokers, they surely have a right of not being constantly exposed to secondhand smoke. Let me cite two examples to illustrate how helpless some people will feel under such circumstances. Both incidents were during my house visits, but at different locations. I recall the first incident was when I was walking down the common corridor at one of the HDB flats. The distinct smell of tobacco was lingering in the air. As I was entering one of the flats, the smell was clearly overpowering over that unit. For a moment, I thought there must be some chain smoker living in that unit. But that was not the case. The lady owner, a mother of 2 young children, actually pointed out to me and had an aggrieved look when she said this. She said that she had to seal up all the front windows that's facing the common corridor and shut her main door and turn on the air conditioning for many hours each day whenever her preschoolers were at home. She simply had no choice, as several members of her immediate neighbouring unit are chain smokers. The crux of the issue was her neighbours would not be smoking within their unit and prefer to do so along the common corridor or even along the common staircase. At another block of flats, other residents raised similar concerns, but this time it is about smoking at the stairwells and by non-residents. They had identified some of the smokers as underage youths and others who are tenants who live in the rented flats. The secondary issue that resulted from the smoking is the random littering of cigarette butts at the stairwell and the parapets. Now, the question becomes one of fairness and enforcement. Do the others who are non-smokers have to bear with the inconsiderate actions of the smokers? And do the cleaners have to suffer from picking up after the smokers? With this context in mind, and for better understanding of how the amendments will subsequently be instituted, I would like to seek several clarifications from the Minister. 1. What are the public areas in Singapore that will be prioritized by NEA to be designated as no-smoking zones? Can the Minister share the guidelines of how this will be decided? 2. Is there a time frame in which the new no-smoking zones will be implemented throughout Singapore? 3. For residential estates, are we likely to see an increase of designated smoking facilities? And what are the guidelines for a smoking facility to be considered complying to acceptable standards? 4. To reduce the probability of second-hand smoke in residential estates, especially the HDB dwellings, will the common staircases and common corridors be marked as no smoking zone for a start? 5. The bill stated that a manager of a specified place who fails to ensure that the smoking facility in the specified place complies with the prescribed requirement commits an offence. As these individuals are likely to be the managing agents or the volunteers of the MCST, what enforcement powers will be conferred to the individual who is carrying out his or her duties in order to protect them? And lastly, for implementation of the bill within the private condominiums after it's enacted, is there a requirement for the MCST to gain consensus and pass resolution for this addition to their bylaw before a specific room or place within their compound can be designated as a no-smoking zone? In cases where MCST is unable to gain majority consensus for the resolution, what recourse can the members who are supportive of the Act have? As reflected in the clarifications that I sought, the implementation will be critical when the bill is passed. Only time will tell how much effect the bill will bring about, how smokers and non-smokers can live in the shared spaces, and what pressure will society impress upon smokers as the general population become aware of the harmful effects to health. Mr. Speaker, while I support the bill, I believe that social responsibilities of individuals has more bearing in improving the situation, as there are never sufficient enforcement that can be put on the ground. Nevertheless, I look forward to the implementation of the bill, as it will bring about the necessary changes that impacts others on the topic, which is not one of preference, but a changing social attitude in our country.